Welcome to Hecka Hockey with Sean Burgeson
and Ryder Burgeson.
What's this week's topic?
This week's topic is we are going to talk about the proposed rules from the NHL.
The first rule that the GMs, general managers of the NHL, have asked about, they're seeking a rule change on is instituting a 10-minute, 10-minute major for fighting off the face-off, which is basically what they call a staged fight, something you planned ahead of time. What do you think about that one?
I don't think that they really need to make a 10-minute minor because it's only going to happen in a 1 in 10 chance, and I don't really think that they need to make it that long.
This isn't that common a thing, I agree with you. The next one is no-touch offsides. Basically, on an offsides, if you can chase it down, on an icing, no-touch icing, if you can chase it down and touch it before the opposing team player does, you can negate the icing call. So what's happening is we've got these 200-pound, 6-foot-plus players racing down the ice and running into each other, causing serious injuries to each other, trying to chase down these icings, when really it's not necessary. I think that's actually a good rule. And last year we were talking about this earlier, that one of the players for the Sharks actually broke their leg chasing down an icing.
Wild.
For the Wild?
Yeah, it was for the Wild.
I thought it was the Sharks.
The Sharks player and the Wild player were racing down, and the Sharks player cut forward into the Wild player, which made him break his knee, and they said that his bone went through his braziers.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my golly.
That's from the studio audience, I guess. So really, I think this would save some injuries in a case where really, most of the time, it's not necessary to chase these down. The icing has become pretty routine. I think it would save some injuries. I don't have a problem with this rule. What about you?
I think it's a good rule to make. When people are getting injured for this reason, I think it's a good rule to make.
Now, helmets. This is another rule that's been talked about a lot this year. In the OHL, they instituted a rule where if you take your helmet off in a fight, that it's a penalty. It's an additional penalty, I believe. It's just not allowed. You're not allowed to take your helmet off. They're talking about doing this in the NHL also, where a lot of players would like to be able to take their helmets off and shoot their penalty shots or or possibly during shootouts. What do you think about this rule in the NHL?
I think that I think fighting was fine the way it was, and I don't think that you need to have to worry about taking off your helmet, because they just knock it off after the first few punches.
Well, and what about these players, though, that get knocked down and they hit the back of their head on the ice? They can get concussions, they can get bone fractures, a lot of things could happen.
I think you can definitely make it a little more safer, but I don't think you have a need to have to leave your helmet on. Keep your helmet on, because then it may cause a disadvantage if someone has a someone might have a cage when they fight. Someone might have a
visor,
and some people might not have anything at all. So it can make a very big disadvantage for a team.
I think they should both take their helmets off when they fight. When guys keep their helmet on and the other guy's helmet is off, I think that's a pretty wimpy move, if you ask me. I don't think there needs to be a rule on it.
Either do I.
And they should be able to take their helmets off and let their hockey hair fly when they're taking a penalty shot or in a shootout, too. So what about, I've heard another one kicked around that they might get rid of the trapezoid for goalies so that they can play the puck a little more freely behind the net and in the corners.
I don't think that they really need it, because it happened a lot when they first made it, because goalies didn't...
The penalty happened for leaving the trapezoid, you mean?
Yes,
okay.
And goalies have pretty much figured it out, and they don't it's like rarely ever happens anymore, so I don't think it'd make a difference at all if they didn't have the trapezoid.
Yeah, go back to the old days. I don't think it speeds the game up or makes it any better either way. It's really it was a nice rule to try. I don't think it's made a difference. The two line passing, that made a huge difference in the game, and the shootout and those types of things, but the trapezoid hasn't had any effect. Now the last one is one that I really am against, and that's not allowing players to block shots, like a defenseman possibly maybe shooting from the point, having an opposing player actually block the shot.
As he's leaving his feet.
Yeah, you can't leave your feet. You can't dive in front of shots to block them. I think that's part of the game. I can't believe they would take that away.
I think that I'm with him, but I don't think that they should really make that rule because, I mean, what if it could be a game breaker because if some people have to dive to get the puck because it's a good way to kill penalties sometimes, 3-on-5s maybe, and I don't think they should interfere with it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's part of the game. You're blocking shots. It's exciting. Sometimes you can save a game that way. I don't know how you would stop yourself from, blocking a shot. It doesn't make sense. It's part of the game. Were there any other rule changes you heard about or anything that you think would be good to change or not good to change?
I think I'm good.
You think you're good? Well, I guess that does it for this week. I'm Sean Burgeson.
I'm Ryder Burgeson.
Thanks for watching Hecka Hockey.